very happy to take any questions.
Were you concerned at all about talk about how your acclamation came to be, and that there might even be some infighting in the party at all?
There are always conflicts and discussions inside any party. I leave it to my colleagues here who were in charge of the process that led to me becoming leader, as the former interim leader and the chief electoral officer. As the party's new leader, I of course stand behind my executive, but I'd be happy to ask the question.
But are you concerned that there may be some division within?
I think the important thing with any sort of division in the party is to demonstrate that if anyone has concerns about process, is to lead by example. The party will continue under my leadership to be the most democratic party, not just in New Brunswick, but in Canada. And we will open up our processes. We will tell people when meetings are taking place. We will share what goes on in as many of those meetings as is possible without compromising the ability of the party to make decisions that obviously you don't want to share your election campaign with the Liberals the year before. That sort of goes from openness into idiocy. But beyond that, we will try our best to make sure the party is run as democratically and openly as possible. And I think that will address the concerns of many people. And they'll see that they have a voice and a place in the party. As I said, anyone who's ready to work, come and work. You don't have to agree with me. Just be ready to put your time and your effort into building the party.
Monsieur Duguay, l'ancien chef du parti, et Monsieur Cyr vous accusent carrément d'avoir pris par des moyens détournés le contrôle du parti, entre autres en chassant, là je ne parle pas de vous nécessairement, mais en chassant Monsieur Cyr de la campagne. Comment répondre à ça et comment, bon, c'est une image qui risque de se perpétuer aussi dans la population?
Sur le sujet de Monsieur Cyr, comme j'ai dit, le processus de la nomination des candidats pour la chefferie, c'était pas dans mon contrôle. Je ne travaillais pas dans le bureau provincial. Il y avait des reports dans la presse que j'étais le directeur exécutif du parti. Ce n'est pas vrai. J'étais un candidat depuis décembre. Je n'ai même pas entré dans le bureau provincial du parti. Alors, on a M. Bim ici était choisi par le conseil provincial. M. Cyr, je pense qu'il était là. Moi, je n'étais pas un membre du conseil provincial, alors je n'étais même pas là pour cette décision. Mais c'était les règles choisies par le parti dans une manière démocratique et ouverte et transparente, avec beaucoup de changements dans les règles comme il était présenté la première fois. Et alors pour moi, ça c'est la démocratie. Et je pense qu'une des choses les plus importantes qu'on a besoin de parler dans le parti et aussi dans la province, que la démocratie ne veut pas que tu es correct tout le temps. Tu vas gagner les batailles et perdre les batailles. De mon côté, j'ai perdu, je pense, beaucoup plus de batailles que j'ai gagnées. Alors
mais je comprends que vous référiez aux autres personnes, mais quand même, Roger Duguay s'en prend directement à vous. En fait, je pense qu'il emploie le mot, la clique de Dominic Carty, comme quoi vous contrôleriez tout ça. Alors, c'est là-dessus que j'aimerais que vous répondiez plus que sur les côtés administratifs. Là. Et M. Duguay dit qu'il ne va pas renouveler sa carte de membre avec vous comme leader.
Non, il a fait son décision en octobre, et ce n'était pas seulement avec un conflit avec moi, mais sur le sujet de clique, enfin, c'est un des problèmes avec les PD en Nouveau-Brunswick. Le parti était tout le temps vraiment petit, et quand j'ai arrivé, j'étais vraiment chanceux. J'ai parlé avec beaucoup de gens, j'ai convaincu, je pense que c'était plus d'une douzaine de personnes de venir travailler en Nouveau-Brunswick pour le parti. La plupart d'eux, comme Lindsay Gallant ici, avaient un bon travail sur la colline du Parlement en Ottawa. Beaucoup de gens comme elle qui ont travaillé pour le parti comme bénévoles aussi. Et pour moi, ça c'est une des choses que le parti a besoin dans une chef. L'habilité de ramasser les militants, des bénévoles pour bâtir un parti qui est, je pense que, tu ne pense pas que c'est faux, que le parti est beaucoup plus fort. C'est visible l'année dernière quand j'ai commencé de construire le parti dans la position de dirigeant de campagne. Alors, je suis heureux avec ce que j'ai fait avec le parti jusqu'à aujourd'hui et je suis confiant qu'on va continuer de bâtir un parti vraiment fort dès aujourd'hui.
What's the biggest challenge that you face in resurrecting, if I can use that term, the party?
Well, I think we're back from the dead. Now we just got to stand up and get walking. And the biggest challenge is, I think it's a combination of organization and perception. The two go together. That if people don't see the party as being credible, even if they like the message. And we had that a lot in the last campaign. I talked to a senior conservative who said that you guys were on the edge of going up 25, 26%. But at the end of the day, people would look at us and they go, well, you know, I didn't even know these guys existed 6 months ago. And the old thing, everyone hears about the NDP. In between the elections, you disappear. So we've got to make sure that we stay visible and organized in between elections. So that's going to be starting today, that we're going to be building up our constituency associations, making sure the party is strong and organized. That'll help us recruit high-profile candidates for the next election. We'll start that process. Instead of 6 weeks before the writs dropped, we'll start it in the next couple of months, looking for people to run. So I think by doing that, and by having more and more people involved, which will naturally lead to a better platform, because more people will be involved in drafting it, and we'll go through the most inclusive and democratic platform drafting process that's probably ever seen. Doing that, I think we'll be in good shape by the time 2014 comes along.
Do you think it's just like 1998 when Camille Thériault won the leadership of the Liberal Party? He went a year without calling an election. So I told him to be elected premier, he should be elected, to become himself premier, he should be elected by the people. Do you feel the same way, that there wasn't a convention, a proper convention to be elected as leader?
I would have preferred to have a race because my former opponent had very different views about the direction of the party, and a race is always good. But at the end of the day, the party has rules in place, and those rules were followed, and so that's a question for the party about why we're in the position we are now. But I accept the leadership of this party. I'm going to go forward, and I'm going to bring together as many supporters of Mr. Cyr as are willing to work with me, in addition to all the hundreds of people who I've signed up to join the party. More than half of the candidates who ran in the election last year have endorsed me. The party is so much bigger, more than 5 times bigger than it was when I took over my position as campaign manager last year. So I'm just going to keep building on that strength and bring in more and more new people. NDP is already bigger than it's been in a long, long time, and it's only going to keep growing from here.
Just a follow-up. Are you afraid it's going to hunt you down? It's going to hunt you in 3.5 years from now, this issue?
Nope. I think if I do my job and I build a party that's got strength across the province, I don't think it'll be any problem at all.
What's the membership base of the NDP right now in New Brunswick? How many people claim to be NDP supporters or party members of that?
Actually, no. I don't think there's any reason for me to be secretive about that. I think we're now at about 1,400.
What about party finances? Are you going to be working to build, some money to do some things between now and 2014?
Yeah, that was another serious issue that the party's faced in the past. Is we haven't had a strong financial base, and we started to try and build it up, usually just in the few months before an election. So this campaign, we have an aggressive plan to pay off the party's existing election debt, which was already not particularly substantial, because our staff bills this time, which are usually the biggest line item for most parties, were close to zero because we got people to volunteer. But we've got to be able to compete with the Liberals and Tories in terms of financing next election. Because this past campaign, I think we had a good campaign, high visibility, but you'd go and watch the TV news in the evening and you'd have 5 Liberal ads and 5 Tory ads, and we weren't there. And we had one ad which was on YouTube, which lots of people watched and talked about. But in terms of being able to compete head-to-head with Liberals and Tories, we weren't there. It takes money. We don't get lots of money from corporations. So it's always a big challenge for us, which means we have to work even harder, be even more organized, and be even more disciplined.
And so you mentioned a convention down the road, but what will be the purpose of that convention then if you've been claimed as party leader according to the party rules?
All along we've been planning on having a biannual policy convention. So the last time we had that was in, I believe it was October 2009. And so this is the next one coming up. And so at those conferences, conventions, we'll have discussions on policy, elect a new party leadership in terms of a president and a treasurer and so on. So that'll be really setting the direction of the party for the next couple of years.